Whether you're looking for an official jersey, a classic team hat, or the absolute peak of premium gear, Fanatics is your destination. And Steve Dangle right now on your screen has on the Fanatics Lululemon collab collection. Steve, how does it feel?
Feels great. I like creepily touching your arms when you're wearing this during the show. And I had one of my own. I decided to put it on. Oh my goodness, smooth as silk.
Yeah, you're wearing the quarter zip Leafs one. It's so nice because they make it super casual and for everyday wear. It's just Lululemon clothes with little NHL logos on it, and it's perfect, right?
100%. It's my Christmas present to myself. I'm going to wear it, and I'm going to be cozy.
Yeah, and you can make it a Christmas present to yourself or to someone else by going to fanatics.com, picking up some of the Lululemon Fanatics collab, or just like any team gear that Fanatics has. Check out the entire world of NHL merchandise, including the newest sleek Lululemon NHL collection available for all 32 teams. Head over to fanatics.com and gear up with the best.
Full disclosure to everyone listening or watching right now, the Steve Dangle podcast just went up as the trade for Quinn Hughes broke. It's Quinn Hughes to Minnesota. I'll read the full trade for you before we start talking about everything. Quinn Hughes to Minnesota for Marco Rossi, Zeev Buium, Liam Öhgren, and a 2026 first-round pick. The podcast recorded. Everything happens all day. And, of course, afterwards, the biggest news that we've had in, a couple of years of NHL transaction talk breaks, and Quinn Hughes is a Minnesota Wild. Steve Dangle, initial thoughts.
Initial thought is that there will not be a bigger trade this year because I think it'd be impossible. You get, on his worst day, a top 3 defenseman in the world, probably top 2 if you ask a certain pocket of Canucks fans, and now Minnesota Wild fans, top 1. So those guys don't become available. Definitely not when they're 26. Definitely not with a year and a half left on their contract. Going the other way is 4 legitimate futures. You can quibble with Rossi. He's still very young. Maybe I guess you call him a present. Liam Öhgren, that's a big deal. 0 points in 18 games so far this NHL season, but his AHL numbers are very, very good. And my guess is the Canucks either develop him on their very, very good AHL team, or at least it's shown to be a good program to the reigning Calder Cup champs, or more likely he gets a very large bit of playing time on the Vancouver Canucks. Zeev Buium is the big one here. A 2026 first, I think, is good for both parties. With Minnesota, it minimizes the risk. With Vancouver, we're rebuilding. Let's get it on with, or let's get on with it, right? Yeah. It's not down the road, 2027, 2028, 2029. Zeev Buium, in most other seasons, there would be more Calder noise around him. I think it's that Minnesota is so good. He's buried behind so many guys. And Matthew Schaefer is a complete revelation. And Lane Hudson is the reigning Calder Trophy winner. Okay, maybe Zeev Buium hasn't lived up to Lane Hudson. Maybe he hasn't lived up to Matthew Schaefer, who's been one of the best rookie defensemen we've seen in at least a quarter century. He's performing very, very well at a very young age. This is a great player. And the one player Minnesota Wild fans who I've spoken to, producer Hayden, are worried about from this trade. Liam Öhgren, you could convince yourself it's not going to be that big of a deal. Marco Rossi, you know what? We spent all summer thinking he was going to get traded anyway. The 2026 first rounder, we assumed they were going to trade that anyway. Zeev Buium is the one part that hurts. The reason it doesn't hurt is you get Quinn Hughes.
That's exactly it. If we start with the Minnesota side, because I think we can start there, and then we can go really deep into everything this means for Vancouver and all of the fallout that's going to happen if you're trading one of your best players in franchise history. But on the Minnesota side of things, this is, I think, such a fabulous trade because you look at the roster like yesterday. What you're really taking out of the roster is Öhgren, who was playing on the third line, but he's a prospect. But like, if we're trying to win today, it's a third line winger.
His role on this year's team is super replaceable.
Right, exactly. And Rossi was injured, wasn't in the most recent lineup, so you're removing that. Plus, that's a replaceable center. You can find that depth. And then Buium, as you mentioned, is a left-handed defenseman. So you're replacing this project of a defenseman with Quinn freaking Hughes. So there's your upgrade. And this makes their team better today and makes them a serious Stanley Cup contender.
Yeah, like you're not going to get Quinn Hughes in this trade for Quinn Hughes. But if you can get 75% of Quinn Hughes, you're well on your way. The list of guys in the world who could hope to be that is maybe 5 players long, and Zeev Buium's probably one of them. There's got to be a mourning period for Vancouver Canucks fans. They haven't had very long to contend with this news. They haven't had very long to accept that this was an inevitability, maybe a likelihood, maybe something that happens by the end of the season, maybe something that happens in the summer or at the draft. This came together very, very fast.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Vancouver fans to be over the moon right now. This is a good haul, I think, for Quinn Hughes. But if you're Minnesota, like one thing I've mocked all year, and you'll like this, Jesse, is the idea that early in the season, in November and early to mid-December, it's impossible to make moves. It's impossible. Well, now you have to.
Mm-hmm.
4 of the top 7 teams in the NHL are in the Western Conference. 3 of them are in the Central Division. Colorado is number 1 at 51 points. Dallas is number 2 at 47. Minnesota, who's 7-2-1 in their last 10, look out, they're 7th.
Yeah.
Tied with the Ducks and actually tied with the Vegas Golden Knights, and they have more wins than the Golden Knights. Dude, you're like, unless you feel like getting absolutely pounded in the first or second round, you got to make this move, and this gives you 2 crazy cracks at it. And what's more important for the Minnesota Wild in context is it gives you a really good crack at having a good, deep playoff run before Kirill Kaprizov's contract extension kicks in.
Yeah, and I love this move because these are the types of moves that win you championships. We gave up a lot of, hey, this could be really special, and we think a couple of those guys will be special, but we're guaranteed one of the best players in the game. And to win championships, you need the best players in the game on your team. And the Minnesota Wild clearly looked at the Western Conference, and I love that you brought that up, where they are in the standings, the West, and how loaded they are at the top. And they say, we can't compete with the Colorados of the world. Let's get better. We need to get better now if this is who we are going to be. And signing Kaprizov to that giant extension that they did preseason, or at the beginning of the season, was them throwing their hat in the ring of like, we're serious to be contending here for a long time. And then this is doubling down on that. We're going out here, and it might only be a year and a half that they have Quinn Hughes, but during this next half year and next year, they're going to be in the conversation amongst every top team in this league. And that's the position they put themselves in by making this trade here today. I love it.
And you can't be second on this kind of thing. Like, people are forgetting the Stars, who are second, are one of the teams rumored to be in on Nazem Kadri, right? And in their last 10. So I brought that up. Colorado 7-1-2. The Stars are 8-1-1, and Minnesota 7-2-1. This is an arms race.
Yeah, exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
For the division. It's awesome for the conference. It's awesome for the league. It's awesome for hockey. And how funny is it that, like, we all had the biggest distraction, the biggest red herring about a week ago with Quinn Hughes going, oh yeah, Fitzy, talking about Tom Fitzgerald. We got the wrong Team USA executive. It ended up being Bill Guerin, who, like, this is a huge, huge move. And I like the point that you made. Like, what are you really taking off of the current Minnesota Wild roster? Like, we know We know the ramifications going forward. But like Quinn Hughes is young enough that, assuming you sign him to an extension, that'd be very nice. I think it offsets a lot of the hurt there. You could argue he hasn't even entered his prime yet. Totally. And if he hasn't, he's right smack dab in the middle of it. Like, we were all barking up the wrong tree. We're looking at the Metro Division. I don't remember how many Western Conference teams were even really talked about in this whole discourse. Everyone's got their own information or whatever. This came completely out of left field. And what I got to know is, like, is the holiday deadline tomorrow or something? But like, what happened with the Oilers with the 2 trades and the Preds and the Penguins, and now this huge thing? Like, this is just incredible. And you know, it's funny, we recorded 2 extra episodes today, and we were talking about Team USA and who might be on that team and what the forward lines might be and what the pairs might be. Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber playing together is a great point. Is a decent little guess. Oh yeah. On account of now their teammates, one shoots left, the other shoots right. And also Boldy on their team. Jeez. Yeah, and the GM, as you mentioned, is GMing Team USA. So on the team that is currently 32nd in the league, this is a sad day for Canucks fans because this was such a slow burn. The Quinn Hughes looking at the camera like he doesn't want to be there at all and not admitting that he doesn't want to be there because he can't do that, but everybody kind of knowing he doesn't want to be there. And then this player you think is going to be in your life for the next 8 years because they'll sign him to a massive extension because he's that good. All of a sudden, Band-Aid is ripped off. You're a Canucks fan, and that guy's gone. That's got to be really sad. But you look at your franchise and you say, okay, this is better than being middling. At least we're not just trying to piecemeal together an 8th seed team or a 10th seed team. At least now we know we're trying to be young and kind of bad maybe for a little bit and rebuild this thing up to what it can be and back into a playoff team. Well, here's where copium comes into play, Jesse. Because like Calgary Flames fans, the Flames, by the way, the next team at 31st in the league, Matthew Tkachuk wasn't staying. He wasn't. He did not want to. You get a 100-plus point player in Jonathan Huberdeau and a really versatile defenseman in Mackenzie Weegar. All things considered, not bad. They made a couple mistakes there. Number one, I don't think they anticipated Jonathan Huberdeau's point total getting cut in half. And the biggest point total drop in the history of the NHL. Yep, after the best season, the most productive season by a left winger in NHL history. That's not happening here because that was present for present. Yes. That was the Florida Panthers trying to take advantage of a situation and paying a very steep price for it. And also they didn't want to pay Huberdeau the money that he wanted. But the Flames, they either won the division or the President's Trophy. They finished very high up in the standings. And could you get futures for Matthew Tkachuk a couple or 3 years ago, whatever it was? Yeah, you probably could have. They didn't want futures. They wanted to stay competitive now. As far as a futures package goes for the Canucks, you know, the conversation is this enough? And I don't think that's the right question. The right question is, who on earth could have offered you a better package? Again, we were barking up the wrong tree with like the Metro Division. We had an in-depth conversation about the Carolina Hurricanes today. Not them. Yeah. That's the example I wanted to bring up because, as you mentioned on the podcast, I said, okay, something like a Jackson Blake, Stankoven,
a couple first round picks sort of deal gets you something similar, like we're piecemealing together some sort of package that can look like this package that they accepted for Quinn Hughes, but this is a pretty good haul for that player. Maybe you want a couple more picks in there. You want some just lower draft picks thrown in for the good of it, but in terms of young talent that has a potential to be the cornerstones of a franchise, you're getting 3 good chances at that.
Very good chances. And not to mention the Minnesota Wild 2026 first rounder. Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy is they could be one and done, because think about it. Who are the top 3 in the Central going to be? It's going to be Colorado, it's going to be Dallas, and it's going to be Minnesota. You put them in whatever order you want. That means unless Minnesota wins their division, which right now they are 12 points back of.
Yeah, because Colorado can't lose hockey games.
You're going to be playing against Dallas or Colorado in the first round.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So that could be a middle of the pack first round draft pick. That could be, if you're out in the first round, that could be like 20th, maybe a little lower than middle, but like it could be relatively early 20s.
It could be. Like I'm getting lost in the weeds here.
Yeah.
No one was offering you, who's got a better prospect available than Zeev Buium? Mm-hmm. And who can justify giving up a prospect like Zeev Buium? Well, probably a team who's about to acquire Quinn Hughes. Oh, this creates such a what? Like he was going to be the what of your future, Quinn Hughes, right? So, I think this is we always want to talk about won and lost. I think this is 2 teams really achieving their purpose here. This is the Wild entering a competitive window here for the next 2 years. For forget the Central Division. Like Connor McDavid signed a contract. Everyone's ripping on the Oilers this year. The contract is to win the cup next year or the year after, when the salary cap skyrockets and he's still at 12.5. The West is a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And you can't just sit there and stay mediocre and hope something's going to happen. You got to go out and get the biggest fish available, and this fish doesn't come around very often at this age, at this point in their career, for this cost. And the Canucks, this really speeds their rebuild up. Mm-hmm. I think, like, first round picks, even if you hit, when are they coming into your lineup? When are they coming into their prime? Boy, you're waiting there a long time.
Yeah, and
Rossi's instantly your 1C, by the way. Instantly.
Over David Kampf? Are you sure?
Maybe.
We gotta ask the question.
Who's their? Is Zeev Buium their 1D? Like, he might be their 1LD, right? Like, it's especially if they trade even more and get even younger. Like,
this is a tough day. This is a tough day for Canucks fans if you're a huge Quinn Hughes fan. If you're a Canucks fan, you probably are. But this is much better than middling. I'm happy that Jim Rutherford has finally picked a path, which is, we know we're bad. Let's get rid of the talent we have for something else, because we won't be able to lock up this talent. And this is when Quinn Hughes would be the most valuable. This is when you're going to get the most for him, because this is the longest he'll be locked up on this expiring deal. So overall, I'm glad for Canucks fans that it seems like the franchise has finally picked something. And Jim Rutherford's always been one to move early rather than late. So he follows that here again. Steve, to wrap us up.
Sure.
Give me your grade on the trade. What are you giving me for each side? And then we will end this.
I mean, they both get A for balls. We're going to give them both A for balls. The Canucks, I'm going to give a solid, honestly, A-. Like, okay. I think they did really, really well here. And Minnesota, you came out of nowhere to get Quinn Hughes. Like, how is that not A+?
A plus. Yeah.
I wanted to just reiterate the excellence of Quinn Hughes since he came into the league.
Mm-hmm.
He is fourth amongst defensemen in points, behind only Cale Makar at 465, Roman Josi at 444, Hedman at 442. Quinn Hughes has 432, but he's done it in something like 75 fewer games than Hedman. He's played fewer games than Josi. He's at 0.94 points per game. Hedman is at 0.85. Josi is at 0.89. As far as I can tell, the only guy with a better one is Cale Makar. So it's those two, 1 and 2. And however you rank them, Minnesota just got the 1 or 2 defensemen in the world. That's
Steve Dangle. Steve Dangle. Thank you for joining and giving the world some content on your Friday night.
You as well, Jesse Blake.
Let's hope that for your sake and your sanity, Brad Treliving gets in on the action.
No, I'm worried about him making a trade of this magnitude.
We saw what happened. You brought up the Kachuk trade, so maybe not.
Yeah, no. Love the spirit, though.